Hello and welcome to Elecspo. Right, today I'm booting up Football Manager 2016 and I've gone all the way to the current day, September 2021. What I'm going to do is go through all 20 current Premier League teams and pick out the weirdest player from each team on Football Manager 2016. So let's do it. But before I start, I double dare you to hit the subscribe button and whack a like on this video. And it's a dare, so you've got to do it, unless you're a chicken of course. Anyway, let's crack on. Arsenal, Benjamin Stambouli. We're kicking things off with the Gunners, and our first player is actually an ex-Spurs midfielder. If you remember Benjamin Stambouli's spell at Tottenham, it was pretty woeful, to be honest with you. You can see here he signed from Montpellier in 2014 for £4 million, played 12 times. I genuinely can't remember a thing Benjamin Stambouli did in a Tottenham shirt. Was he signed with the Gareth Bale money? I can't remember, but on this simulation, he managed to get himself a move to PSG, went to Watford, and then somehow in 2019, Arsenal signed the former Spurs midfielder. Not only signed him for £26 million. I mean, he was decent for Watford, which you can see here. At Arsenal, absolutely naff. 7 appearances in his first season, 6.45 average rating. He has barely played since and is now rotting in the Arsenal reserves. Kind of sounds like the player Edu would sign right now. Aston Villa, Micah Richards. While in reality he's everyone's favourite pundit for some reason, on Football Manager 2016, Micah Richards is still playing at the grand old age of 33, and he's still at Aston Villa. It's where he's been through the entirety of this simulation, and even in the Championship, he's been god awful, absolutely appalling, and unsurprisingly, he's injured as well. An interesting fact, he's the most famous person that follows me on Twitter. Nice to see you, Micah, keep on tuning in. Brentford, Brian Oviedo. This one isn't massively weird. I mean, Brian Oviedo, known for his time at Everton where he was just okay, went to Sunderland, absolutely naff, ended up playing in League One, yet somehow he's found his way back to Copenhagen. I think he might be playing in the Champions League, which seems a little bit unfair considering where Sunderland are. On this simulation, Brian Oviedo, he's been great for Brentford, and the weirdest thing about the Bees is that they're managed by Paulo Di Canio, a man who's... yeah, Paulo Di Canio. Let's just move on before we say anything bad about him. Brighton, ZEKI Friars. Here's a name you might remember, a man who was once tipped for greatness, started at Man United, went to Tottenham Hotspur, and at both clubs he was naff. On this simulation he's been in the Championship throughout the whole time, at the Blades, at Wolves, at Brighton, and everywhere he's been, he hasn't had a season average better than a 6.45, which is... that's awful. Why would you still be playing in the Championship if you are that bad? In reality, Christ, ZEKI Friars nowhere near even the Championship. Again, like Brentford, not massively weird. The best name in this Brighton team has to be Dick Foster. What a strong name that is. Christ, when Homer Simpson called himself Max Power, he should have called himself Dick Foster. Burnley, Denon Lewis. To the common man, this probably isn't a weird player, but if you're a fan of Love Island, you know exactly who Denon Lewis is. Or at least you might, considering he's only on it for about a week. I think a couple of seasons ago. In Football Manager, Denon Lewis is a Championship player. He's been a Premier League player. In reality, he got kicked off of Love Island because no one fancied him. Not even Mora. That might not have even been the same series. It might have been. I'm giving you far too much information about my interest in Love Island. I don't watch it anymore, okay? Chelsea, Lewis Baker. Right, in reality it is ridiculously weird that Lewis Baker is still at Stamford Bridge. He's had 1,000,001 loan spells, there was times when he was tipped for greatness, and it just hasn't happened. That's weird in itself. What's even weirder on Football Manager is that Lewis Baker's an 18-time England international, he's valued at £30 million, and he actually gets a game for Chelsea despite being absolutely naff. Christ, I don't know what to think here. Lewis Baker, man, what an absolute anomaly. Crystal Palace, Jordan Pickford. The England number one isn't up to much on Football Manager 2016, but he is at least a Premier League player, just not a consistent one. Been at West Brom, he had a season at Manchester City where he had one brilliant game, a season at Burnley where he wasn't very good, and now he is at Crystal Palace, signing for £2.8 million. He hasn't got a single England cap to his name, and I can't imagine his rave culture goes down well in London. I mean, does anyone south of Seaham really know who Tazo is? Everton, Alisson Becker. Yes, the Everton number one is the Liverpool number one. Not your Anthony Allison, not Allison from down the road, Alisson Becker. He's just signed for Everton for £6 million. He's been the Arsenal backup goalkeeper by the looks of things for a few years. And based on this, Football Manager did not predict the rise of Alisson Becker. But he's still earning 100 grand a week. And he's played 26 times for Brazil, which is pretty damn good considering, I mean, he's conceding 2 goals every game so far for Everton. That's appalling. I mean, look at his goalkeeping ratings. The only one he's decent at is handling, 16. And that's because he spends most of his days picking the ball out of his net with his bare hands. He can probably afford gloves, what am I on about? Leeds United, Jeremy Hellan. This is only weird if you know what happened to Jeremy Hellan. At the age of 24, this is a guy who retired because of religion. Football Manager don't care about that. He's still playing in the Championship. He's still going badly. He's at Leeds. And he's not very good, and he's a wanted man, wanted by Millwall. I wouldn't do that if I were you, Jeremy. Leicester City, REECE Oxford. Once upon a time, REECE Oxford was going to be the next best thing to come out of the West Ham Academy. He was the next Bobby Moore, the next whoever else coming out, the next Trevor Brooklyn or whatever. Coming out of the West Ham Academy, he had that incredible debut against Arsenal when he was 16. And on Football Manager, he's at Leicester, he's doing alright for himself, he's even got himself an England cap. In reality, I mean, he's just stuck in Germany. It just hasn't... That debut was the worst thing that could have happened to him. By that point, expectations were far too high, and he's never been able to live up to the hype. But at least on Football Manager, he's earning 57 grand a week, he's at Leicester, that's quite nice. Good luck to you, Reece. Liverpool, Brendan Galloway. Right, some of these teams, the weird players, haven't been that weird. But Christ, this Liverpool team is a who's who of just randomness. At left back, Brendan Galloway. Up front, Robin Quaison, who, I mean, isn't very good. Saido Berahino sitting on the bench. And you've also got Jesse Lingard, a Man United Academy product playing for the Devil. Or the Reds, rather. But I think it's got to be Brendan Galloway, the weirdest player. He's another player who's crossed the divide. He's came from Everton to Liverpool, and he's a player who is literally only ever good on Football Manager. I've never seen Brendan Galloway have a good game on my life, but in this era of Football Manager, I would always sign him, have him in midfield, box-to-box midfielder, absolute class act. For here, he's playing as a centre-back or a left-back, and for Liverpool, you know what? He's bloody brilliant. He's played for Manchester City as well, and it just shows... Even if you're good as a Football Manager kid, it doesn't mean you're good in reality. Brendan Galloway, what is going on, man? How is he playing for Liverpool here? Put him in a Liverpool shirt now and Klopp will be pulling his hair out and smashing his teeth up. And they cost a lot of money. Manchester City, Carl Jenkinson. Carl Jenkinson was such a fraud that he somehow managed to forge out a God knows how long career at Arsenal, despite barely playing a minute and quite frankly not being very good. He's taken his fraud levels to even higher standards here, somehow getting a move to Manchester City. Again, just like at Arsenal, he doesn't play. When he does, he's not very good, yet he's still there and he's got another couple of years on his 32 grand a week contract. He's the luckiest bloke alive, Christ above. Manchester United, John Stones. While last year he had a renaissance of epic proportions for Manchester City, Football Manager have got him playing for the enemy. He is a Man United centre-back, he is one of the best defenders on the game, earning 240 grand a week, £40 million move to Man United, and he's been absolutely incredible throughout the entirety of this simulation. That's probably the defender Pep Guardiola thought he was buying at Manchester City. But it really hasn't quite gone as well as John Stones probably would have thought. Thankfully last season he was brilliant, I think he's a great player, and on FM16 he's simply one of the best defenders in world football. Whereas at Man City now, he's sat on the bench once again, wondering why on earth he threw his Euro 2020 runners-up medal into the crowd. He should have kept it, John, you should have kept it. Why not get there again? Newcastle United, Trent Alexander-Arnold. If Newcastle had Trent Alexander-Arnold right now, they'd be flying. They could play him anywhere. I mean, yes, he struggled in centre midfield and struggled for England the other day. You could put Trent at right back, you could put him at left back, you could put him centre midfield, you could put him in goal, you could put him in front in the current Newcastle team, and he'd probably be better than what they've already got. What's weird about this is, I'm quite surprised that on FM16, they predicted the rise of Trent Alexander-Arnold, but it hasn't really been a rise at all. Made a couple of appearances for Liverpool where he was quite frankly awful, got a move to Reading, where he wasn't very good either. Even in the Championship he was naff. Yet Newcastle, in their infinite wisdom, still decided to spend nearly £5 million on him. He's played once in 2 seasons and he was crap. Typical Newcastle United signing. Absolutely rubbish. Norwich City, Dani Ceballos. Just like Liverpool, Norwich are a pretty all-round weird team. They spent most of the time actually in the Premier League, which is pretty impressive. They've just won promotion back up to the top flight. They're managed by Alan Pardew, Disco Pardew, the man who all the ladies like. Connor Cody's there, even though he's not a centre-back. They've got Mamadou Sakho, the skipper. It's just a really strange team. Leading the line, Ji Dong-won, a man who hasn't been seen since he was rounded in the goalkeeper, giving Martin Tyler a heart attack. But even still, Christ, they've got Nacho from Real Madrid. But the weirdest player is Dani Ceballos, a man who, he's been to Real Madrid and back. He's, should have been an incredible player. At Arsenal, wasn't massively impressive, but he was there, he was having fun. On Football Manager 2016, he's a Championship player who only played 5 times in the 2nd tier. He even had a spell at Newcastle where, you know what, they made a quick profit on him. So well done Newcastle for that. Better than the whole Trent thing, I guess. Southampton, Kalidou Koulibaly. If Southampton had Kalidou Koulibaly right now patrolling the back line, they'd be absolutely rock solid. Imagine him alongside Mohamed Salah. You couldn't get through them for love nor money. On Football Manager 2016, not going quite as well. It's going alright. It's not going too badly at Southampton. For Chelsea, don't know why they bothered signing him because they barely played him, and then they sold him off for a £10 million loss 2 years later. Koulibaly doing great at Southampton, but one of those players that Football Manager didn't quite predict the rise of. By the time FM16 came out, they were starting to realise what kind of player he was. The year before, I remember having him at Newcastle, and to be honest, he was pretty naff. But Koulibaly isn't the only strange player playing for Southampton. They've also got Gonzalo Higuain leading the line. And they've got Alan St-Maximin. I missed that when I was doing my research. This is fantastic. What a team. It's no wonder the top of the Premier League. Tottenham Hotspur, Akraf Lazar. Make no bones about it, this kid is absolutely wretched. When he joined Newcastle, I thought he must have been up to something. The fact he was, he was given the number 7 shit, that's quite a big number at any club. And honestly, even in the Championship he couldn't get on the pitch. He was absolutely woeful. They had to force him out of the club eventually. Yet on Football Manager 2016, he's playing for Tottenham, valued at £20 million and earning 145 grand a week. He cost them £13.75 million, which is a lot more than Newcastle paid, but even Newcastle overspend. And he's actually been okay for Tottenham. Christ, this is so unnerving. Maybe Rafa was doing his scouting on Football Manager when he decided to bring him to St James's Park. Would also explain why we signed Facundo Ferreira all those years ago. Watford, Virgil Van Dijk. One of the best defenders in the world, an absolute colossus, and a man mountain of a man. Yet on Football Manager 2016, he is, and excuse my language, wank. Look at those average ratings, absolutely appalling. Been in the Premier League throughout the whole simulation, and I've got no idea why. And it speaks volumes about how bad Virgil van Dijk is, that he hasn't got a single cap for the Dutch. West Ham United, Fred. Honestly, if Fred played for West Ham right now, I think he'd do a good job. David Moyes would probably get a tune out of him alongside Souček or Declan Rice. It would probably do well. But on FM16, he's playing incredibly for West Ham after just joining on a free. But he arrived from Barcelona. I know Barcelona are in an absolute state right now, but if they had Fred patrolling the middle of the park, whatever hair the Barcelona fans had left on their head, they would be pulling out. Alongside Martin Braithwaite, alongside all the other slobs playing for Barcelona right now, Fred, honestly, even he would look out of place. And finally Wolves, Ruben Loftus-Cheek. I hate doing Wolves last because most of the time when I'm doing these videos, there's nothing really to talk about. Looking at this team, it's just quite ordinary. It's what you would have thought Wolves' team would have been if they hadn't got George Mendes sending loads of Portuguese players there. They've got Paul Dummett, Alfie Mawson, Danny Bass. Just average players. The biggest name, probably Ruben Loftus-Cheek. An absolute dreamboat of a man, and a man who's, on Football Manager, not very good at football. Spent most of his days in the Championship not playing very well at all, which I suppose is better than what he's doing right now, just not even sitting on the bench at Chelsea. Christ, he can't even get on the bench. He's probably running the WhatsApp group of the players who didn't get a loan move away from Stamford Bridge. It's probably just him and Christ, who didn't get a loan move away from Chelsea? It's probably just him and Baba Rahman playing words with friends against each other. Right, we will leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Elecspo, and until next time, we will see you around.